Have you ever been in a situation where you didn't know what to say? Or maybe you wanted to start a conversation, but felt unsure. Making small talk can be tricky, but it's such an important skill. How do you feel when you meet someone new? Do you get nervous? Do you know what to say in a job interview or at a party? Small talk is all about being able to start and maintain simple conversations. It can be casual, light, and fun. But it can also be a way to connect with people in different situations. So, let's talk about how to make small talk in different situations. Would you like to learn how to talk about the weather with a stranger? Or perhaps how to ask about someone's day at work? These are just some of the ways you can practice making small talk. Making small talk is one of the first things you learn when you start speaking a new language. Why? Because it's the foundation of social interaction. Whether you're at the bus stop, in a meeting, or at a party, small talk helps you connect with others, break the ice, and build relationships. But how do you start? What should you say? It's normal to feel a little nervous at first, but with a few simple tips, you'll become more confident in no time. First, let's think about some of the most common situations where small talk happens. Have you ever found yourself at a party where you don't know anyone? It can feel a bit awkward, right? But with small talk, you can start a conversation with almost anyone. A simple, "Hi, how are you?" or "What do you do for fun?" can be a great icebreaker. And once the conversation starts, you'll find it gets easier. Now think about meeting someone for the first time. What do you say? Often, the first question is something like, "Where are you from?" or "How did you get into this job?" These types of questions are easy to ask and help you find something in common. People usually enjoy talking about themselves, so if you ask open-ended questions, it can lead to a longer conversation. For example, "What do you like to do in your free time?" or "Have you traveled anywhere recently?" These questions are great for making small talk, especially with someone you don't know very well. When you meet someone at work or in a professional setting, small talk can also help set the tone for a friendly relationship. At the start of a meeting, instead of diving straight into business, you might say something like, "How was your weekend?" or "Did you have a good holiday?" It's a great way to warm up the conversation and make the other person feel comfortable. Even though these questions seem simple, they're important because they show interest in the other person. This creates a positive atmosphere and makes it easier to talk about work-related topics later on. Now, let's consider small talk at a coffee shop or in a store. You might not know the person you're speaking to, but it's still an opportunity to connect. Saying something like, "The weather is nice today, isn't it?" or "I love this cafe, it has the best coffee," can get the conversation going. Small talk in these situations is often about everyday topics that are easy for anyone to relate to. You can talk about the weather, what's happening in your city, or even the products in the store. People appreciate these simple exchanges, and they can sometimes lead to longer conversations. In some cases, small talk can also help you when you're in a more formal situation, like a job interview. During an interview, it's important to be professional, but it's also okay to ask about the interviewer's day or comment on something light, like the office environment or the weather outside. A simple, "How has your day been so far?" can be a nice way to show that you're approachable and interested in the person you're speaking with. Remember, the goal of small talk is to build a connection, even if it's brief. You don't need to have a deep conversation every time, but small talk helps you practice speaking and listening, which is key to becoming more fluent in any language. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel. So, think about your next social interaction. Whether it's a casual conversation with a friend or a more formal conversation with a colleague, small talk can help you connect, feel more confident, and practice your English skills. Would you like to know how to start a conversation in more specific situations? How do you handle small talk when you meet someone for the first time at a social gathering? Or when you're at work and need to break the ice with a colleague? Let's dive into these scenarios and see how you can master small talk in every situation. Let's continue exploring more situations where small talk can make a big difference. The more we practice, the easier it becomes to handle different situations and connect with people around us. Small talk is not just a skill for social events or work situations, but it can also help in everyday life, from interacting with strangers to communicating with friends and family. Consider a situation where you're at the grocery store and you bump into someone you haven't seen in a while. What do you say? This kind of encounter might feel a bit awkward at first, but small talk can turn it into a pleasant conversation. You can start with something like, "It's been a while. How have you been?" Or, "I didn't expect to see you here today." These simple phrases show interest in the other person's life and can open up a flow of conversation. If you're talking to someone you know a bit better, you can ask more specific questions like, "How's your family doing?" Or, "Did you have a good weekend?" It's important to show curiosity without being too personal, as this keeps the conversation friendly and easygoing. In situations where you're in a waiting room or at a bus stop, it might seem like there's nothing to talk about. But even in these quiet moments, small talk can make the time pass more quickly. For example, if you're both waiting for the bus, you might say, "Do you take this bus often?" Or, "I'm always late with this bus. It's never on time." These comments are simple but effective in breaking the silence. You don't have to have a deep conversation, but a little chat can make waiting more pleasant and help pass the time. What about in a classroom or while studying? When you're in a group study session or a class with people you don't know very well, small talk can make everyone feel more comfortable. For instance, "How did you find the homework?" Or, "What do you think of this topic we're studying?" These questions show that you're interested in others' opinions and can lead to deeper discussions. Small talk in a learning environment helps you connect with your classmates and makes working together easier. It's also a great way to practice your language skills, especially if you're speaking with people from different backgrounds. Let's not forget about small talk at events or gatherings, like a wedding or a party. In these settings, you might not know everyone, but you can always find common ground. You might start by commenting on something happening around you, like, "The decorations look beautiful, don't they?" Or, "Have you tried the food? It's delicious." These simple observations can be the starting point for a conversation that can go in many different directions. If you're talking to someone for the first time, you can also ask about their relationship to the event, like, "How do you know the bride and groom?" Or, "What brought you to the party today?" These questions are easy to ask, and don't put too much pressure on either person, making the interaction feel casual and friendly. Small talk is also incredibly important when traveling. Imagine you're in a new city or country and don't know anyone. Small talk can help you get directions, find interesting places to visit, or even make new friends. A simple question like, "Is this the best place to visit in the city?" Or, "Do you know where the nearest coffee shop is?" can lead to valuable recommendations. These types of conversations help you feel more at ease when you're in unfamiliar places, and they allow you to practice your language skills in real-world situations. In fact, small talk can even help in more serious situations. For example, imagine you're having a medical appointment or talking to a customer service representative. Even though the main conversation might be about a serious matter, starting with a bit of small talk can make the situation feel less formal and more comfortable. Saying something like, "How are you today?" or "I hope you're having a good day," can set a positive tone and create a more pleasant interaction. It can help build rapport with the person you're talking to and make the overall experience less stressful. And, of course, small talk plays a role in digital communication too. Have you ever sent a message to someone you don't know well? The way you start your conversation can make a big difference. Instead of diving straight into your question or request, a simple "Hi, I hope you're doing well," or "How's your day going?" can make your message sound warmer and more polite. Whether you're sending an email or chatting with someone online, small talk is a great way to start the conversation on a positive note. Mastering the art of small talk takes practice, but it also requires understanding the different scenarios in which small talk is most effective. Let's dive deeper into some real-life examples, where small talk not only helps you communicate, but also strengthens your social and professional relationships. At a networking event, Networking events are an excellent opportunity to use small talk to build meaningful connections. These events can sometimes feel intimidating, especially if you're new to the group or industry. But small talk is your best friend here. Start with something simple like, "How are you enjoying the event so far?" Or, "Have you attended events like this before?" These questions are easy for the other person to answer and help you both feel comfortable. Once the conversation starts, you can gradually dive deeper into topics related to the event. For instance, what brought you here today? Or, what kind of projects are you working on right now? Not only do these questions show genuine interest, but they also give you a chance to learn something new or discover shared interests. Meeting neighbors for the first time. Moving to a new neighborhood can be a bit overwhelming. You want to introduce yourself to your neighbors, but might not know how to start. Small talk makes this process smoother. Begin with a friendly introduction. "Hi, I just moved in next door. How long have you been living here?" A simple question like this can lead to useful information about the neighborhood and spark a friendly relationship. You might follow up with something like, "Are there any good restaurants or parks nearby?" Or, "What's your favorite thing about living in this area?" These kinds of interactions make you more approachable and help create a positive first impression. Traveling on public transportation, long bus rides, or train journeys often put you in close proximity to strangers. While not everyone wants to chat, some people welcome a bit of small talk to pass the time. You might start with a neutral comment like, "It's a busy day today, isn't it?" Or, "Do you take this route often?" If the person seems interested, you can continue by asking about the city or the destination, like, "Is there anything you'd recommend seeing in the area?" These short exchanges can sometimes lead to fascinating conversations and even new friendships. During a work coffee break in professional settings, small talk during coffee breaks or lunch hours can help you connect with colleagues. These moments are not just about discussing work, they're also about building rapport. Start with a light topic like, "Did you see the game last night?" Or, "I heard there's a new cafe nearby. Have you tried it yet?" These questions are easy to answer and create a relaxed atmosphere. Over time, these small interactions can lead to stronger working relationships and even collaboration on projects. Engaging with service professionals. Whether you're talking to a cashier, a barista, or a hairdresser, small talk can make these everyday interactions more pleasant. A simple, "How's your day going?" or "It must be busy today," shows kindness and interest. If you're a regular at a particular cafe or store, making small talk with the staff can make your visits more enjoyable. You might even get personalized recommendations like, "What's your favorite drink on the menu?" or "Have you tried the new dish they just added?" Starting conversations in a classroom. If you're attending a class or workshop, small talk with your classmates is a great way to make new friends and feel more connected. Begin with a comment about the class, like, "This topic is so interesting. What made you join this class?" Or, "Have you taken a course like this before?" You can also ask practical questions, such as, "Do you know where the best place to study around here is?" Or, "Have you used the resources the teacher mentioned?" These interactions not only help you build friendships, but also make your learning experience more engaging. Using small talk to handle awkward silences. Ever been in a situation where the conversation suddenly stops and you're left with an awkward silence? This is where small talk can save the day. Instead of panicking, use observations about your surroundings to restart the conversation. For example, if you're at a party, you might say, "The music is great here. Do you know who picked the playlist?" If you're in a meeting, you could comment, "This presentation is really detailed. Have you worked on something similar before?" These simple remarks help to bridge gaps in conversation and make the situation more comfortable for everyone. Practicing small talk in different cultures. When you're speaking with people from different cultural backgrounds, it's important to adapt your small talk to match their preferences. For example, in some cultures, it's common to ask about family or hobbies, while in others, people might prefer to discuss work or current events. A good way to navigate this is to start with neutral topics like the weather or shared experiences, then follow the other person's lead. If you're not sure what's appropriate, keep your questions polite and general, such as, "What do you like most about living here?" Or, "Have you traveled anywhere exciting recently?" These approaches show respect and curiosity without crossing boundaries. Building deeper conversations from small talk. One of the best things about small talk is that it often leads to deeper, more meaningful conversations. For example, a simple question like, "What's your favorite type of food?" might lead to a discussion about travel, culture, or personal experiences. Similarly, asking, "What do you enjoy doing in your free time?" can open the door to talking about hobbies, goals, and passions. The key is to listen actively and respond with interest. When the other person sees that you're genuinely engaged, they're more likely to share more with you. Handling rejections or quiet responses. Not everyone is in the mood for small talk, and that's okay. If someone responds briefly or doesn't seem interested, it's important to respect their space. In such cases, you can politely close the conversation with something like, "Well, it was nice chatting with you. Have a great day." Remember, small talk is about creating positive interactions, so don't take it personally if someone isn't eager to continue the conversation. Small talk is a skill that grows with practice, and every interaction is a chance to learn. The more you engage in small talk, the better you'll become at recognizing cues, adapting to different situations, and making meaningful connections. Would you like to explore even more tips or scenarios for mastering small talk? Let's keep going. Small talk in professional settings. Making a strong impression. Professional environments often require not just knowledge and skills, but also strong interpersonal communication. Small talk is a critical tool in shaping how colleagues, supervisors, and even clients perceive you. Imagine arriving early for a meeting, and you find yourself waiting with someone important, like your manager or a senior colleague. This is a prime opportunity to engage in small talk. Start with something light yet work-related, such as, "I'm looking forward to today's discussion. What's your take on the agenda?" Or, "It's great to finally collaborate on this project. How has your week been so far?" Notice how these questions are professional yet approachable. They convey enthusiasm and genuine interest. As the conversation flows, you might transition to broader topics, like industry trends. Have you noticed any new developments in our field recently? I read an article about a specific topic and found it fascinating. Conversations like these leave a lasting impression, showing that you're proactive, informed, and personable. In addition, small talk can diffuse tension in stressful work environments. For instance, during tight deadlines or long meetings, inserting a lighthearted remark like, "It's amazing how coffee becomes the unofficial team mascot during weeks like these," can ease the atmosphere and make everyone feel more connected. Building rapport with international colleagues. In today's globalized world, small talk is often the bridge between cultures in multinational workplaces. However, navigating cultural nuances requires sensitivity and awareness. For example, in some cultures, asking about family or personal life is seen as warm and friendly, while in others, it might feel intrusive. To strike the right balance, start with neutral topics. For instance, "What do you enjoy most about working here?" "Have you visited many places since moving to this city?" "What's the food like where you're from?" "I'd love to try something authentic." These questions not only showcase your interest in their culture, but also create space for them to share their experiences. Over time, small talk evolves into deeper trust and understanding, which is especially important for teamwork and collaboration. Enhancing small talk with active listening. Small talk isn't just about asking questions, it's equally about how you respond. Active listening is key to making the other person feel valued. When someone shares something with you, respond thoughtfully. For example, if they mention a recent trip, instead of simply saying, "That's nice," follow up with, "That sounds amazing. What was your favorite part of the trip?" If they share an opinion, acknowledge it and build on it. "I hadn't thought about it that way. Can you tell me more?" Active listening transforms small talk into meaningful dialogue. It also helps you remember details about the person, which can be used to start future conversations. Last time we talked, you mentioned you were planning a hike. How did that go? Small talk at social gatherings. Turning strangers into friends parties, weddings, or community events are perfect for meeting new people. But they can also be daunting if you don't know anyone. The key to breaking the ice is to start with situational comments that everyone can relate to. For example, "This venue is beautiful. Have you been here before? The food here is fantastic. Do you know if they have a signature dish? I love the music they're playing. Do you know if they take requests?" Once you've sparked interest, transition into more personal but still lighthearted topics. What's been keeping you busy these days? Or, what's the most exciting thing you've done recently? These questions encourage others to share stories, which can lead to longer and more engaging conversations. At larger gatherings, you can use shared connections to initiate small talk. For instance, "I think we both know mutual acquaintance. How did you meet them?" This creates an instant bond and often leads to discovering more common ground. Using small talk to overcome first-day jitters. The first day at a new job, school, or club can feel overwhelming, but small talk helps ease those nerves. Introduce yourself with a smile and a simple statement like, "Hi, I'm new here. How long have you been part of this group?" This shows interest in others and invites them to share their experiences. As you meet more people, pay attention to details and follow up in later conversations. You mentioned you've been here for a year. What advice would you give someone starting out? Or, "I noticed you're really good at specific skill. How did you get into it?" Small talk like this not only helps you build connections, but also positions you as approachable and eager to learn. Online small talk. Making connections in a virtual world in an increasingly digital age, small talk isn't limited to face-to-face interactions. Whether it's a Zoom meeting, an online class, or social media, small talk can still play a vital role. During virtual meetings, start with icebreakers like, "Where are you joining us from today?" "It looks like your background has a lot of books. Are you a big reader?" "The weather here has been crazy this week. How about in your area?" For social media, commenting on someone's post with genuine interest can spark a conversation. For instance, "I love the photos from your trip. What was your favorite part?" Or, "Your recent project looks incredible. How did you come up with the idea?" Online small talk can be a great way to expand your network and keep relationships alive, especially when in-person meetings aren't possible. Dealing with small talk anxiety. Tips for introverts. If you're naturally introverted, small talk might feel exhausting or intimidating. The good news is, you don't have to be the loudest or most outgoing person to excel at it. Start with prepared questions or comments for common situations. For example, at a coffee shop, "What's your go-to drink here?" At a gym, "How long have you been coming here? Any tips for a beginner like me?" At a bookstore, "I see you're looking at specific genre. Do you have a favorite author?" Keeping the focus on the other person takes the pressure off you to carry the conversation. Additionally, remember that small talk doesn't have to last long. Even a quick, pleasant exchange can leave a positive impression. Small talk. While traveling. Making connections on the go traveling provides countless opportunities to engage in small talk. Whether you're at an airport, on a train, or exploring a new city, conversations with fellow travelers can make the experience more enjoyable. To start, observe your surroundings and comment on something relevant. At an airport lounge, "It's always so busy here. Are you traveling for work or vacation?" On a train, "I always enjoy the scenic views on this route. Do you take this train often?" At a tourist site, "This place is stunning. Have you visited other landmarks nearby?" These questions are open-ended, giving the other person space to share their story. As the conversation progresses, you can exchange tips or recommendations. For example, "I'm looking for a good restaurant in the area. Have you tried anything amazing here?" Or, "Your travel gear looks really practical. Do you have any must-have items for trips like this? Small talk while traveling not only helps pass the time, but can also lead to valuable insights and friendships. Plus, sharing travel experiences often creates an instant bond. Small talk with service professionals. Building a friendly rapport engaging in small talk with service professionals, like baristas, cashiers, or waitstaff, not only brightens their day, but also enhances your social skills. The next time you order coffee, instead of simply giving your order, try adding a friendly comment. "You always make my morning better. How's your day going so far?" Similarly, at a grocery store, you could say to the cashier, "It's been so busy today. Do you have any time off coming up?" These conversations are quick, lighthearted, and leave a positive impression. Over time, regular small talk with familiar faces can lead to a sense of community. For example, if you visit the same restaurant often, you might say to the server, "You always seem to know the best dishes here. Any recommendations for something new to try?" Such exchanges make interactions more personal and enjoyable for everyone involved. Small talk. During networking events. Making a strong first impression. Networking events are designed for building connections, and small talk is the first step. Approaching someone new can be intimidating, but starting with a compliment or observation can break the ice. For instance, "I really enjoyed your presentation earlier. How did you come up with the idea?" Or, "This event is so well organized. Have you attended it in previous years?" Once the conversation begins, steer it toward shared interests. You could ask, "What inspired you to pursue this career?" Or, "What's the most exciting project you're working on right now?" Networking conversations thrive on reciprocity, so share a bit about yourself too. "I'm currently exploring your field or interest. It's fascinating to hear how others approach similar challenges." If the conversation naturally comes to a close, leave a lasting impression by saying, "It's been great chatting with you. Would you mind if I connected with you on LinkedIn?" Or, "I'd love to continue this conversation sometime. Can we exchange contact information?" Turning awkward moments into small talk. Opportunities. We've all been in situations where silence feels awkward, like waiting in a long line or sharing an elevator with a stranger. These moments are perfect for small talk if approached thoughtfully. Start with a lighthearted comment about the shared experience. In a long line, I always pick the longest line without realizing it. Does this happen to you too? In an elevator. It's funny how everyone suddenly becomes so quiet in elevators, isn't it? These comments acknowledge the situation and often lead to a chuckle or response, breaking the tension. From there, you can transition into a broader topic. "By the way, do you work in this building? It seems like such a busy place." Awkward moments are inevitable, but small talk turns them into opportunities for connection and a little humor. Practicing small talk to improve your confidence. Small talk is a skill, and like any skill, it gets better with practice. Start by engaging in short conversations with people you interact with daily, such as neighbors, co-workers, or even strangers at the gym. Over time, you'll notice your confidence growing. To practice, prepare a mental list of topics you can use in various situations. For example, at the gym. Do you find morning workouts better than evening ones? At the grocery store. Have you tried this brand before? Is it good? At a park. This is such a peaceful spot. Do you come here often? You can also rehearse responses to common questions like, "How are you?" Instead of saying, "Fine, thanks," try something more engaging. "I'm doing well, thanks. How about you? Have you been up to anything exciting lately?" Practicing small talk not only improves your conversational skills, but also helps you feel more comfortable in social settings. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. The role of body language. In small talk, while words are important, your body language can significantly impact how your small talk is received. Smiling, maintaining eye contact, and using open gestures convey warmth and interest, making others more likely to engage with you. For instance, When you're introducing yourself, a firm handshake and a genuine smile immediately create a positive impression. Similarly, leaning slightly forward while listening shows that you're fully engaged in the conversation. On the other hand, be mindful of signals that might discourage conversation, like crossing your arms or checking your phone frequently. Small adjustments in body language can make a big difference in the success of your interactions. Would you like me to explore more examples or provide specific scripts for different scenarios? Small talk at social gatherings. Breaking the ice in group settings, social gatherings, like parties or community events, can be excellent opportunities to practice small talk. The key to breaking the ice is starting with an inclusive observation that invites others to join in. For instance, at a party, "The music tonight is fantastic. Does anyone know who chose the playlist?" At a community event, "This turnout is incredible. Have any of you been to this event before?" By asking a group-friendly question, you're encouraging multiple people to contribute to the conversation. Once it begins, you can guide it naturally. For example, if someone says they've attended the event in previous years, follow up with, "What's been the most memorable part for you? Any tips for a first-timer like me?" In group settings, it's also helpful to acknowledge individual contributions to the conversation. If someone shares a funny story or insight, respond enthusiastically, "That's such a good point," or "That story made me laugh. I can completely relate." Positive feedback keeps the group dynamic engaging and ensures everyone feels included. Remember, group conversations often flow in multiple directions. Stay attentive and look for cues to pivot or expand on topics as they come up. Small talk in professional settings. Making a great impression. In professional settings, small talk can pave the way for deeper conversations and stronger connections. Whether it's before a meeting, during a break, or at a company event, starting with neutral and work-adjacent topics is a safe approach. Before a meeting. This is such an interesting agenda. Which topic are you most excited to discuss? During a break. It's great to have a moment to unwind. Have you been working on anything particularly exciting lately? At a company event. These events are always so well organized. How do you find time to balance work with networking? Professional small talk should balance friendliness with relevance. For instance, after asking a work-related question, share a little about yourself to build reciprocity. "I've been diving into a project or skill. It's fascinating, but challenging. Have you had any similar experiences in your role?" If the conversation naturally transitions to personal interests, embrace it with grace. For example, "It's interesting that you enjoy photography outside of work. Do you find it helps you stay creative professionally too?" Ending professional small talk on a positive note is crucial. Say something like, "It's been great chatting with you. Let's catch up again soon." Or, "I've learned a lot from this conversation. Thanks for sharing your insights." Small talk in online settings, building connections. Virtually, in today's digital world, online small talk is becoming just as important as in-person interactions. Whether you're on a video call, chatting in a group forum, or messaging someone new, the principles remain the same. Start with something relatable and friendly. On a video call, "Your background looks so cozy. Is that a home office, or do you have a specific workspace for calls?" In a group forum, "This is such an active discussion. What drew everyone here today?" Through messaging, "Hi, I noticed we're both part of a group or project. How did you get involved?" Online small talk requires extra attention to tone, as typed words can sometimes be misunderstood. Use emojis or clear language to convey warmth and friendliness, like, "That's such a great idea," or "I completely agree. It's a challenge, but worth the effort." When conversations feel less natural online, structure can help. After an initial exchange, share a bit about yourself and ask for their input. "I recently started exploring a topic. Have you had any experience with it?" As with in-person interactions, concluding online conversations on a high note is key. You might say, "It's been great talking. Let's connect again soon," or Thanks for sharing your thoughts. It's been really insightful. Small talk with neighbors, building community. One chat at a time, conversations with neighbors are an essential part of building a friendly community. These exchanges often begin with simple observations about shared spaces or experiences. At the mailbox, it looks like we've got a lot of flyers today. Have you ever tried any of the local services they advertise? In the yard or garden, your flowers are blooming beautifully. What's your secret? At a local park, it's such a great day for a walk. Do you come here often? From these openings, you can delve into topics that create common ground, like local events, neighborhood changes, or mutual recommendations. Have you heard about the farmers market this weekend? I've been meaning to check it out. As you establish rapport, longer conversations might naturally evolve. Share personal interests or ask about theirs. I'm trying to improve my gardening skills. Do you have any tips for a beginner? Or, I noticed you're often out with your dog. What's their name? They seem so friendly. Consistency matters in neighborly small talk. Even brief greetings like, good morning, or, how's your week going? Over time, build trust and connection, making the neighborhood a warmer place for everyone. Small talk. While traveling, connecting with strangers on the go. Traveling offers countless opportunities to engage in small talk, whether you're on a train, waiting at an airport, or exploring a new city. These settings naturally lend themselves to curiosity and shared experiences, making them excellent for striking up conversations. At the airport. When you're at the airport, a great opener might be a comment about the journey ahead. Are you traveling for business or leisure? It looks like the flight's delayed. Have you been to this destination before? Such questions are universal and non-intrusive, encouraging the other person to share just enough to keep the conversation flowing. If they respond positively, you can follow up with something personal, but still light. I'm headed there to visit family. Do you have any tips for must-see places? I've heard great things about the food there. Do you have a favorite dish to recommend? On a train or bus, public transport conversations can be short, but meaningful. Start with an observation. This route has such beautiful scenery. Do you travel this way often? I noticed the book you're reading. It looks interesting. What's it about? Once a connection is made, share a bit about yourself. I love reading too, especially historical fiction. Are you a fan of that genre? I'm visiting for the first time. What do you think is the best way to get around? These moments may be fleeting, but they leave a lasting impression, especially if you part with a positive comment. It was great chatting. Enjoy your journey. Exploring a new city. When sightseeing, small talk can be as simple as exchanging pleasantries with a fellow tourist or local. This museum is incredible. Have you seen the new exhibit yet? The weather's perfect for exploring. Are there any hidden gems around here you'd recommend? By asking open-ended questions, you invite detailed responses and potentially learn something new. For example, if a local recommends a favorite cafe, you can respond with interest. That sounds wonderful. What's your go-to order there? Thanks for the tip. Do you know if they're open late? I'd love to stop by after dinner. Conversations like these can lead to valuable insights and create connections that enhance your travel experience. Small talk with service workers. Appreciating everyday interactions. Engaging in small talk with service workers, whether baristas, cashiers, or taxi drivers, not only shows respect, but also brightens their day. These interactions are often brief, so your tone and content should be warm and concise. At a coffee shop or cafe, start with a compliment or question about the menu. You always make my latte just right. Thank you. Do you have a favorite drink you recommend? This cafe has such a great atmosphere. Do you know if they host events or live music? Building rapport with consistent visits can make these exchanges even more rewarding. Over time, they might recognize you and offer personal touches. Your usual today? Or are we trying something new? at a store or supermarket. While checking out, use the moment to engage in light conversation. It's such a busy day. Do you find certain times are quieter here? You've packed those groceries so efficiently. Do you have any tips for keeping everything organized? Your acknowledgement of their efforts, no matter how small, often brings a smile and opens the door for a brief but meaningful chat with a taxi or rideshare driver. These rides offer a longer window for conversation, making them ideal for deeper exchanges. Begin with a friendly question. How's your day been so far? Are you having a busy shift? I'm new to this city. Do you have any favorite spots you recommend? If they're open to chatting, you can steer the conversation toward shared experiences. Driving around must give you great stories. Have you ever picked up someone famous or had a particularly memorable ride? I imagine you must know this city like the back of your hand. What's your favorite thing about living here? Always end on a polite and grateful note like, "Thanks for the great ride. Have a wonderful day." Small talk in educational settings, fostering connections in learning environments. Educational settings, such as schools, universities, or workshops, are ripe for small talk because everyone shares a common goal: learning. These conversations can create camaraderie and even lead to long-lasting friendships. In the classroom or lecture hall, before class begins, try breaking the ice with a question related to the course. Have you taken a class with this professor before? What are they like? This subject seems challenging. Are you feeling ready for it? Once the conversation starts, keep it engaging by sharing your thoughts. I've heard this course has a lot of group projects. Do you enjoy working in teams? Small talk at family gatherings. Connecting with relatives' family gatherings are a great opportunity to reconnect with loved ones and strengthen your bonds, but they can also be a bit awkward, especially if you haven't seen family members in a while. Small talk in these settings is essential to help ease into conversations and rekindle connections. At a family reunion or holiday gathering, opening with a warm comment about the event or family dynamics can set the tone for easy conversation. It's great to see everyone together again. Have you all been keeping in touch during the year? This holiday meal looks delicious. Who's in charge of cooking this year? Family small talk is often based on shared experiences or past events, so use those memories to your advantage. Remember last year when we all went to that park? That was so much fun. Should we plan something like that again? It's been a while since we've had a big family get-together like this. Do you remember the last one we had at Grandma's house? Conversations about family life or children. Talking about children or family life is a common theme in family gatherings, especially with parents or relatives who are interested in what's new in each other's lives. How are the kids doing? They're getting so big. I saw on Facebook that you just took a trip with the family. How was it? Be mindful of showing genuine interest, especially when asking about personal matters or family milestones. That new hobby your son started sounds interesting. How did he get into it? It must have been so exciting when your daughter graduated. How did she feel about the ceremony? Don't be afraid to share your own updates as well. People at family gatherings are usually interested in each other's lives. I've started a new job recently, and it's been challenging but exciting. Have you been up to anything new? We've been planning a big trip this summer. I can't wait to take the kids somewhere new. Have you done anything like that recently? When in a larger group of relatives, it's important to circulate and make small talk with different people. After a brief exchange with one relative, you might move to another family member. I was just chatting with Uncle Mike about his new garden project. Have you seen it yet? I caught up with Aunt Rachel about her travels. Did you hear about her trip to Europe? Ending family conversations with positivity. Family conversations are often casual and ongoing, but it's important to wrap them up on a positive note. You can end a conversation with an expression of appreciation. It's so nice catching up with you. I hope we can talk more later. This has been a really fun chat. Let's definitely stay in touch. Small talk with strangers. Finding common ground in new encounters. Engaging in small talk with strangers is a useful skill in many everyday situations. Whether at a coffee shop, waiting in line, or attending a conference. These brief exchanges help establish rapport and can lead to deeper conversations. At a coffee shop or cafe, when you're standing in line or sitting in a cafe, it's easy to make small talk with someone nearby. Start with a simple observation about the environment or the menu. The line is moving fast today. I'm glad it's not too crowded. That new pastry they've got looks amazing. Have you tried it? If the person responds positively, follow up with a question about their order. I'm always curious. Do you have a go-to drink at this place? You seem to know exactly what you want. Is there a drink you recommend here? By staying lighthearted and positive, you can make even the briefest interaction pleasant. I always struggle to choose between the options here. What's your favorite? I've been coming here for years, but I still haven't tried everything. I'm going to have to change that. While waiting in line or for service, waiting in line can sometimes feel like an awkward silence, but you can turn it into an opportunity to chat with the person next to you. Start with something about the shared situation. It looks like it's going to be a long wait. Do you come here often? I can't believe how quickly the store has gotten so busy. Have you been able to get everything you need today? After that, you can easily shift to discussing common interests, such as favorite stores or products. I've been meaning to check out the new items on the shelf. Have you seen anything interesting? I love this store because they always have such a variety of options. What's your favorite section here? At a public event or conference. Public events or conferences are great places for making small talk with people you don't know, especially when you share a common interest, like a keynote speaker or a session topic. A good way to break the ice could be to comment on the event itself. The speaker was incredible, right? What did you think about the presentation on topic? There are so many people here today. Have you attended this conference before? You can also engage by discussing the event's potential outcomes or how it fits into your personal interests. I'm hoping to learn more about topic today. Are you here for a particular reason? This event has been so informative. I'm excited to apply what I've learned to my work. How about you? Public events allow for more extended conversations, and often the shared interest in the subject matter leads to deeper discussions. You can ask questions or share your thoughts to keep the conversation going. I'm curious. How did you get interested in this field? I've been learning more about it recently. I love the practical tips from the speaker. Do you have any similar experiences you can share? Leaving on a good note. As with all small talk, leaving a good impression is important. At the end of a conversation, whether it's in a cafe or at a conference, you can wrap up politely. It was great chatting with you. Enjoy the rest of the event. Thanks for the great conversation. I hope to see you around again soon. Small talk in casual social settings. Making new friends. Casual social settings like meetups, sports events, or community clubs are excellent for meeting new people and forming friendships. Starting a conversation here often involves being open and approachable, with a genuine interest in the people around you. At a sports event or game, if you're attending a game or sporting event, there's already a shared interest in the activity, making it easier to strike up a conversation. What a game! Have you been following this team for long? The crowd is so excited. Do you come to many games here? Once the conversation gets going, follow up with a question about the event or the person's experience. What do you think of the team's performance today? I've never been to this stadium before. Do you have any tips for a first-time visitor? At a social club or group gathering, whether it's a hobby club or a volunteer event, these gatherings create a natural opportunity to bond over shared interests. You can start by commenting on the activity or event. This group is amazing. How did you first get involved? I'm so glad I found this group. What's been your favorite project or event so far? Asking about others' personal experiences and interests can lead to deeper discussions. I've just started learning about hobby. How did you get into it? It's so inspiring to hear about your experiences. Do you have any advice for a beginner? Small talk at these gatherings can be the foundation for long-lasting friendships, especially if you share future plans. It was great talking to you. Let's exchange contact info and stay in touch about future events. I'm excited about next month's meeting. Hopefully we can chat more then. Small talk. During travel, building connections on the go traveling, whether by plane, train, or bus, often puts you in close proximity to others, making it a perfect opportunity to engage in small talk. Conversations during travel can be enjoyable and even memorable, providing a chance to learn about others and share experiences. Starting conversations on airplanes. Airplane travel brings unique opportunities for conversation since you're often seated beside someone for hours. Starting with light, situational comments can open the door to a chat. Looks like it's going to be a smooth flight. Are you traveling for business or pleasure? I always find the takeoff so exciting. Do you travel often? If the person seems open, ask about their destination. I'm heading to New York for the first time. Do you know the area well? What's your favorite thing to do when you visit destination? Travel conversations can also touch on personal stories or interests. I love discovering new places, especially local food spots. Do you have any recommendations? I'm traveling for a conference but hoping to squeeze in some sightseeing. What's a must-see in your opinion? Breaking the ice on trains or buses. Public transportation like trains or buses is another common scenario where small talk can thrive. Begin with an observation about the journey. This train route is so scenic. Have you taken it before? The station was so crowded today. Is it always like this? You can also chat about travel habits or tips. I love using the train. It's so relaxing compared to driving. What's your favorite way to travel? I'm new to this route. Do you have any advice for first-timers? If the conversation continues, you might discuss personal travel experiences. I once took an overnight train through the mountains. It was incredible. Have you ever tried a long-distance trip like that? Traveling is such a great way to meet people. Do you have a favorite trip or destination? Striking up a conversation at airports or stations. Airports and train stations are hubs of activity, with many people waiting for their next journey. Use the shared experience of waiting to break the ice. It feels like every flight is delayed today. Have you been stuck here long? There's such a buzz here during the holidays. Are you visiting family? You can also talk about travel logistics or preferences. I always struggle with packing light. Do you have a secret to fitting everything in one bag? I'm always curious. What's the best way to pass the time during a layover? For extended waiting periods, conversations may naturally expand to broader topics like hobbies, careers, or family. While I'm waiting, I'm trying to catch up on some reading. Do you have a favorite book you recommend? This trip has been on my bucket list for years. What's a destination you've always wanted to visit? Ending travel small talk on a positive note. As travel conversations are often brief, wrap up on a friendly note when it's time to part ways. It's been great chatting with you. I hope you have a safe and enjoyable trip. Thanks for sharing your tips. Maybe we'll cross paths again on another journey. Small talk in professional settings. Navigating workplace interactions. Small talk plays a crucial role in professional settings, helping to build rapport with colleagues, clients, or even potential employers. Knowing how to adapt your conversation style to fit the workplace can create a positive impression and foster better relationships. Starting conversations with colleagues. In the workplace, small talk often begins with casual observations or questions about the day. How's your day going so far? Did you manage to finish that big project you were working on? The weather's been so nice lately. Are you planning anything fun for the weekend? Work-related topics are a safe and effective way to engage with colleagues. I saw the email about the new project. Have you had a chance to look it over yet? The team meeting today was really productive. What did you think about the ideas we discussed? These conversations can lead to more personal exchanges, helping to deepen professional relationships. You mentioned last week that you're learning a new skill. How's that going? I heard you're working on a side project outside of work. That sounds fascinating. Can you tell me more about it? Engaging with clients or customers. When interacting with clients or customers, small talk helps establish a connection before diving into business matters. Begin with a warm and polite greeting. Thank you for coming in today. How has your week been so far? It's great to meet you. Have you been working with our company for long? You can also ask about their needs or preferences to show genuine interest. What are you hoping to achieve with this project? We'd love to help make it a success. I noticed you mentioned a particular service in your inquiry. What interests you most about it? Making small talk at professional events. Conferences, networking events, and seminars are perfect for engaging in small talk with industry peers. Start by commenting on the event or venue. This conference has been amazing so far. Which session has been your favorite? I'm new to this event. Do you attend it often? You can also discuss shared professional interests or goals. The keynote speaker was fantastic. Have you applied any of their strategies in your work? I'm here to learn more about digital marketing trends. What brought you to this event? If the conversation flows well, exchange contact information to stay connected. It's been great talking with you. Let's exchange LinkedIn profiles and keep in touch. I'd love to hear more about your work. Maybe we can schedule a coffee chat sometime. Small talk at airports and stations. Navigating the busy world of travel airports and train stations are bustling environments, filled with travelers from all over the world. The fast-paced atmosphere can sometimes feel intimidating, but it also provides many opportunities for engaging in small talk with strangers. Whether you're waiting in a long line or sitting at a cafe, these places are perfect for striking up a casual conversation. Starting small talk in airport waiting areas. Waiting for a flight can take hours, so if you find yourself seated next to someone, it's an ideal time to start a conversation. Begin by commenting on the situation around you. This airport is huge. I'm always lost here. Do you travel through here often? It seems like every flight is delayed today. Have you been waiting long? You can also ask about their destination or travel experience. Where are you headed? I'm going to destination, but I've never been there before. Any tips? How often do you travel? This is only my second flight this year, so I'm still getting the hang of it. If the person seems open, follow up with questions that explore their travel habits or experiences. I love to explore new destinations. What's the most interesting place you've been to recently? I'm always looking for good travel books or podcasts. Do you have any recommendations? Inquiring about travel plans during delays or long waits. If you find yourself waiting for a delayed flight or at a long layover, small talk can help pass the time. You can comment on the inconvenience or share your own experience. Another delay. I'm starting to wonder if I'll ever get there. Have you experienced a lot of delays on your travels? I've got a 5-hour layover here. Do you ever get stuck in places like this for long periods? Use these moments as an opportunity to talk about previous travel experiences or future plans. I've had some great adventures in location. Have you ever been there? What's the longest you've been stuck at an airport? I once spent an entire night in one. You could also ask about things to do in the area if you're in a new place. I've never been to City, but I've heard there's a great museum park. Have you visited? If you had a few hours to spare in this city, what would you do? I'm thinking of trying to explore a little before my next flight, making connections at cafes or restaurants inside airports. If you're eating or drinking at an airport cafe or restaurant, these are great places to meet fellow travelers. Ask about the food or drink options as a natural conversation starter. This cafe has such a great selection. Have you tried the sandwich? It looks amazing. I always wonder how people make the decision on what to order. Are you someone who likes to stick to a favorite, or do you like to try new things? If the conversation continues, shift to topics like hobbies, interests, or travel preferences. I'm always on the lookout for new destinations to visit. Do you have a favorite place that's off the beaten path? I've been trying to plan a trip for next year, but I can't decide where to go. Any suggestions? You can also share travel tips or ask for advice on navigating the airport. I'm new to this airport. Do you have any tips on the best places to shop or relax? I've heard this airport has the best lounge. Have you ever been there? Using travel mishaps as a way to connect. Travel doesn't always go as planned, and when things go wrong, it can create a natural opening for small talk. Whether it's a missed flight or lost luggage, sharing these experiences can help you bond with others who are likely experiencing similar frustrations. I can't believe my flight got delayed again. I guess it's just one of those travel days. Have you had any crazy travel experiences like this? My luggage didn't make it with me, and now I'm stuck waiting for it. I've heard this happens a lot. Have you ever had your luggage get lost? You can follow up by asking how the other person manages travel mishaps, or sharing how you deal with these types of situations. When my luggage gets lost, I usually try to stay calm and ask about compensation. How do you handle it? I've started keeping a travel emergency kit with essentials like snacks and toiletries just in case. Have you ever been caught without something you needed? Small talk with hotel staff, building rapport. During your stay, when staying at a hotel, making small talk with staff is a great way to feel more connected and get insider recommendations about the area. Whether it's the front desk clerk, a bellhop, or a concierge, starting with a friendly greeting can set a positive tone for your stay. At check-in or the front desk. The check-in process is often a busy time for hotel staff, but you can still make small talk to make the interaction feel more personal. Start by commenting on the hotel or asking questions about the amenities. This hotel has a great lobby. Is it new? I love the design. I've heard a lot about this hotel's breakfast. Do you recommend it? Ask about things to do in the area, especially if it's your first time visiting. I'm new to the city. What are some must-see places nearby? Are there any local restaurants or cafes you'd recommend? I'm hoping to try something authentic. If you're checking in for a special event, you can use that as a way to initiate small talk. I'm here for a conference. I'm excited but also a bit nervous. Have you seen many visitors come in for events like this? I'm attending a wedding here this weekend. It looks like the hotel is a popular spot for events. Is it usually this busy? During a stay at the hotel, throughout your stay, you'll likely interact with staff in various ways, such as at the concierge desk, during room service delivery, or when asking for help with accommodations. Be polite and friendly when approaching staff for assistance. Thanks for helping me with my luggage. Do you have any tips for getting around the city? I'm looking for a quiet spot to relax. Can you recommend somewhere in the hotel? Small talk can also help if you need to address any concerns or issues with your room or service. I noticed the heating isn't working properly in my room. Do you have any suggestions? I requested a wake-up call this morning, but I didn't get it. Could you check on that for me? Sharing travel experiences with hotel staff. Hotel staff often deal with travelers from all over the world, and sharing your travel experiences can lead to interesting conversations. I've traveled to a few different countries recently. I think this city is one of my favorites. Have you traveled much? I'm a big fan of adventure travel. I recently went hiking in the mountains. Do you have any adventure spots to recommend here? When checking out, don't forget to thank the staff and leave a positive note. Thanks for everything during my stay. I really enjoyed the trip. Hopefully I'll come back next year. You've been so helpful during my stay. I'll definitely recommend this hotel to my friends.